The fluorescent lights of the Kepler 442 Adoption Center hummed constantly, a sound that never quite faded into the background. In the farthest corner of Hall 7, behind a plastic divider covered in claw marks, two small shapes huddled together in deliberate shadow. Ash and Ember were approximately 3 months old in human terms, though Dracovian development followed different patterns. Their scales should have been the deep obsidian black of their warrior species, polished and proud. Instead, they gleamed pale white, almost translucent under the harsh station lighting. Their eyes glowed red like dying embers, sensitive to every flicker of illumination. They were albinos, genetic accidents that occurred once in every 50,000 Dracovian hatchings. "Another one coming," Ash muttered, his voice a raspy hiss. His head lifted slightly, nostrils flaring at the approaching scent. Ember pressed closer to her brother. "Make them leave fast." The approaching footsteps belonged to Director Velmara, her 4 insectoid legs clicking rhythmically against the metal floor. Behind her walked a tall, elegant being with crystalline skin that refracted light into rainbow patterns. A Lemurian, wealthy and cultured. "These are our special cases," Velmara said carefully, her mandibles clicking in what passed for a hopeful smile. "They require patience but—" "Hideous," the Lemurian interrupted, peering down at the hatchlings with multifaceted eyes. "Why are they so pale? Are they diseased?" Ash's throat rumbled. A small puff of smoke escaped his nostrils. "They are perfectly healthy," Velmara assured quickly. "Just different genetically. Very intelligent, actually. They've learned 3 languages already and—" "I want a companion who reflects beauty," the Lemurian said coldly. "Not a creature that looks half-dead. These are defective." Something snapped in Ember's small chest. She lunged forward with a shriek, her claws scraping against the clear barrier. Small flames licked from her mouth, harmless but terrifying in their intensity. The Lemurian stumbled backward with a cry of alarm. "Defective yourself." Ember screamed in perfect Lemurian dialect. "Go shine somewhere else." Velmara's antennae drooped in defeat as the potential adopter fled. She didn't even scold the hatchlings anymore. What was the point? This was the 47th rejection in 2 months. "You cannot keep doing this," Velmara said quietly, her voice tired. "Then stop bringing them," Ash replied flatly. "We don't want parents who call us defective. You need a family. The station regulations require all juveniles to be placed within 6 months or transferred to species-specific facilities." Both hatchlings went very still. They knew what that meant. Dracovian facilities didn't accept albinos. They would be sent to a medical research station, studied like specimens until someone decided they had no value. "We're fine here," Ember whispered, but her voice shook. Velmara left them alone again, and the hatchlings curled together in their corner. Through the transparent walls of the center, they could see other juvenile aliens playing in the common area. A fuzzy Androthian cub chased a floating toy. 3 Kelvin children with tentacles braided together in an affectionate knot. A young Centaurian practiced flying in the low-gravity zone, his parents watching proudly from the observation deck. "Nobody wants us," Ember said simply. Ash didn't argue. His sister was right. Every species that visited looked at them with pity, disgust, or cold calculation. The Thoraxians thought they were too fragile. The Methalox family worried they would scare their other children. The Zentari couple simply laughed and walked away. "We don't need them anyway," Ash said, trying to sound brave. "We have each other." But even as he said it, both hatchlings watched the happy families beyond their barrier with something like hunger in their red eyes. Not hunger for food, but for something neither of them could quite name. Something they had never experienced but somehow knew they were missing. In the corner of Hall 7, the 2 cranky albino hatchlings settled into another long, lonely night, unaware that tomorrow would bring a visitor unlike any who had come before. Maya Torres pressed her face against the observation window of the adoption center, her breath fogging the glass. She had been on station Kepler 442 for exactly 17 days, and she had never felt more alone in her entire 12 years of life. Her parents were brilliant xenobiologists, completely absorbed in their research on alien plant life. They loved her, she knew that, but they also loved their work. Most days, Maya wandered the station corridors by herself, watching alien families laugh and play in languages she barely understood. "You can go inside if you want," a cleaning drone buzzed past her in monotone standard galactic. "The center welcomes observers." Maya hesitated, then pushed through the entrance. The main hall was full of noise and color. Juvenile aliens of every imaginable species played together, their guardians watching nearby. She walked slowly past the exhibits, feeling like an outsider looking into worlds she could never join. Then she saw them. In the darkest corner, behind scratched barriers, two small white creatures huddled together. They looked like miniature dragons from Earth's old stories, but wrong somehow. Too pale. Too still. Their red eyes tracked her movement with sharp intelligence and deep suspicion. Maya didn't approach immediately. Instead, she sat down on the floor about 3 meters away and pulled out her sketchbook. She had drawn dozens of the station's aliens, trying to understand them through art since she couldn't understand them through friendship. Her pencil moved across the paper, capturing the curve of the smaller hatchling's neck, the protective way the larger one positioned himself in front of his companion. "What are you doing?" The voice was harsh, defensive. The larger hatchling was staring at her. "Drawing you," Maya said honestly. "I hope that's okay. You're interesting to look at." "We're freaks," the smaller one spat. "Everyone says so." Maya looked up from her sketch. "I'm the only human kid on this entire station. Yesterday, a Methylox child told me I looked like a fleshy worm. So yeah, I get the freak thing." Both hatchlings blinked in surprise. They hadn't expected that response. "You're human?" the larger one asked, tilting his head. "We learned about your species in the databanks. You're new to the galaxy. Everyone says humans are strange." "Everyone's right," Maya shrugged. She turned her sketchbook around, showing them the drawing. "Is this okay? I tried to get your scales right." The hatchlings crept forward slightly, curiosity overcoming caution. The smaller one studied the drawing with intense focus. "You made us look nice," she said quietly, something like wonder in her raspy voice. "You are nice looking," Maya said. I think so. Your scales catch the light in cool ways. And your eyes are really expressive." "Expressive means scary," the larger hatchling said flatly. "No, it means I can tell what you're feeling. That you're smart. That you notice things." Maya closed her sketchbook and hugged it to her chest. "Can I ask you something? Why are you over here by yourselves?" "Nobody wants us," the smaller one said simply. "We're albinos. Defective Dracovians. We're too cranky and too ugly and too aggressive." Maya was quiet for a moment. She thought about her lonely walks through the station. About eating meals in her family's quarters while her parents discussed research. About watching other kids play games she didn't understand. "I don't have any friends here either," she admitted. "Everyone's nice enough, but nobody really wants to hang out with the weird human girl. We're too new, too different, too. I don't know. Wrong somehow." The hatchlings stared at her. They understood that feeling perfectly. "Would you maybe want to be friends?" Maya asked, her voice small and hopeful. "Not adoption or anything official. Just friends? I could visit you. We could talk. I'm Maya, by the way." The larger hatchling exchanged a long look with his sister. Dozens of beings had tried to take them, to own them, to fix them. But nobody had ever just asked to be their friend. "I'm Ash," he said carefully. "This is Ember." "Cool names," Maya smiled genuinely. "Do you want to see more of my drawings?" For the first time in 2 months, Ember moved away from the shadowed corner and came closer to the barrier. "Yes," she whispered. "We would like that." Director Velmara watched through her office window as the human child sat outside the hatchling's enclosure for the 5th day in a row. Maya had brought a tablet this time, showing Ash and Ember videos of Earth's animals. The hatchlings were actually laughing, a sound Velmara had never heard from them before. "This is highly irregular," Velmara muttered to herself, tapping her data pad with one leg. Maya's parents had come to her office that morning with an unusual request. Their daughter wanted to take the Dracovian hatchlings home. Not adopt them officially, they had explained quickly, just foster them temporarily. A cultural exchange of sorts. "Impossible," Velmara had said immediately. "Humans are a probationary species. You've only been part of the Galactic Council for 30 years. The regulations are very clear." But Dr. Torres had pulled up the actual regulation codes. Nowhere did it explicitly forbid temporary guardianship arrangements. The laws covered adoption, yes, but not fostering. Not cultural exchange programs. "My daughter is lonely," Dr. Torres had said quietly. "And those hatchlings are miserable. Can't we at least try?" Now Velmara stood in the corridor outside the hatchlings area, her antennae twitching with indecision. She approached Maya slowly. "Child, may I speak with you?" Maya looked up, worry crossing her face. "Am I in trouble?" "I didn't touch the barrier, I promise." "No trouble. I understand you wish to take Ash and Ember to your quarters." "Yes." Maya's face lit up. "My parents said it's okay. We have extra space and I've been reading about Dracovian needs. I can keep the lights dim and..." The issue is not space, Vilmara interrupted gently. It's legal. Humans cannot formally adopt under current galactic law. Maya's face fell. Behind the barrier, both hatchlings had gone completely still, listening. But what if it's not adoption? Maya said desperately. What if they're just staying with us? Like a sleepover that lasts longer? My mom's research project is for 6 months. They could stay until then, and if it doesn't work, they come back. A 6-month sleepover? Vilmara's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. Why not? Maya stood up, her voice growing stronger. Nobody else wants them. You said yourself they might get sent away to some research place. At least with me they'd have a friend. They'd be safe. Inside the enclosure, Ember pressed against the barrier. We want to go with her, she said clearly. Please. Vilmara had worked at the adoption center for 15 standard years. She had seen thousands of juveniles placed with families. She had also seen the failures, the returns, the children who aged out of the system with nowhere to go. Ash and Ember were heading down that dark path. If I allow this, Vilmara said slowly, you must understand the responsibility. Dracovian hatchlings require specific care. They breathe fire when upset. They have sharp claws and teeth. They are not easy companions. I know, Maya said firmly. I've been studying. I won't hurt them and I won't give up on them. Vilmara made a decision that would probably earn her a formal complaint from the Galactic Council. She accessed her data pad and began typing rapidly. I am creating a new category, she announced. Temporary Cultural Exchange Guardianship. The hatchlings remain technically under center supervision, but reside with your family. Weekly check-ins are mandatory. Any signs of distress or mistreatment, and they return immediately. Yes. Anything. Thank you. Maya was practically bouncing. Do not thank me yet. This is unprecedented. If it fails, it could affect all future human-alien fostering attempts. It won't fail, Maya said with absolute certainty. 2 hours later, Ash and Ember walked out of the adoption center for the first time since their arrival. Maya held out her hands and after a moment's hesitation, each hatchling placed a clawed hand in hers. The station corridors seemed brighter somehow. Other beings stared at the unusual trio, but Maya ignored them. She was too busy telling Ash and Ember about their new room, about the blankets she had prepared, about all the things they would do together. For the first time in their short lives, the cranky albino hatchlings felt something strange and unfamiliar blooming in their chests. It took them several minutes to identify the emotion. Oh. The first week was a disaster. Ember burned holes in 3 of Maya's shirts. Ash knocked over her mother's carefully organized plant samples, scattering soil across the floor. They refused to sleep in the comfortable nest Maya had prepared, instead wedging themselves under her bed where it was darker and tighter. Maya's parents exchanged worried glances over dinner while the hatchlings hissed at the unfamiliar food. Maybe this was too much, Dr. Torres whispered to his wife. They're destroying everything. But Maya didn't give up. She sat on her bedroom floor with her tablet, scrolling through Dracovian research files late into the night. She learned that albino Dracovians had hypersensitive eyes and skin. The station's normal lighting felt like needles to them. She learned that hatchlings tested boundaries constantly, looking for the limits of safety. She dimmed all the lights in their quarters to 20%. She bought special goggles designed for Dracovian albinos from the station medical supply. She moved all her breakable items to high shelves. You can't destroy what isn't there, she explained to Ash, who looked almost disappointed. The second week was better but still hard. Ember had a tantrum when Maya tried to take her to the communal youth area. She breathed fire across Maya's sketchbook, the one filled with months of careful drawings. The pages curled and blackened, turning to ash. Maya didn't yell. She didn't threaten to send them back. She just picked up the burned remains and started crying quietly. Ash and Ember froze. They had expected anger, punishment, rejection. They hadn't expected tears. Why are you sad? Ember asked, her voice uncertain. Because that was important to me, Maya said, wiping her eyes. Those drawings were how I remembered things. My old home. My old friends. Now they're gone. Something shifted in Ember's chest. It felt uncomfortable, like swallowing rocks. I didn't know, she whispered. That night, Maya woke to find Ash sitting at her desk. He had pulled up a drawing program on her tablet and was carefully, clumsily trying to recreate one of her burned sketches with his claw. It looked terrible, all wrong proportions and jagged lines, but he was trying. Ash. Maya sat up. He didn't look at her. I can't draw like you. But I want it. I'm sorry Ember burned your book. Maya felt something warm bloom in her chest. She got out of bed and sat next to him. Thank you. That means a lot. We're not good at being good, Ash admitted quietly. Everyone always gave up on us. We thought you would too. I'm not everyone else, Maya said simply. By the third week things changed. The hatchlings still had outbursts, but Maya had learned to recognize the signs. When Ember's scales started twitching, it meant overstimulation. When Ash went very quiet, it meant he was scared. She gave them choices instead of commands. She respected their space. She started taking them to the youth area during quiet hours. The other juvenile aliens stared at first, whispering about the weird pale Dracovians and the strange human girl. But Maya organized simple games, things everyone could play together regardless of species. Ash surprised everyone by being brilliant at strategy puzzles. Ember discovered she loved music and had a beautiful singing voice, though it sounded like wind through metal pipes. One evening, a young Kelvin got tangled in the climbing equipment. Most of the other children backed away nervously, unsure how to help the tentacled being. But Ember flew up immediately, her small wings beating hard, and carefully untangled the frightened child. Thank you, the Kelvin whispered. Ember looked shocked. Someone had thanked her. Someone who wasn't Maya. The real test came when Director Velmara arrived for the monthly check-in. She expected to find chaos and possibly injured humans. Instead, she found Maya teaching the hatchlings Earth history while Ash took careful notes and Ember asked questions. How are things? Velmara asked carefully. Perfect, Maya said, and both hatchlings nodded in agreement. Velmara's antennae relaxed. I'll see you next month then. As she left, she updated the hatchlings file with a note that would ripple through the entire adoption system. Thriving under human care. Recommend extended placement. In the Taurus family quarters, 3 unlikely friends curled up together to watch Earth movies, finally understanding what family actually meant. The alarms on station Kepler 442 blared with the arrival of a massive warship. Maya looked up from her homework as her father checked the station alerts. Dracovian military vessel, he read aloud, his voice tight with concern. They're docking in Bay 7. Ash and Ember went completely still. Their scales, normally relaxed, pressed flat against their bodies in pure fear. They're here for us, Ash whispered. They found us. Within an hour, Director Velmara's emergency message appeared on every screen in their quarters. A Dracovian commander named Thorax had landed with legal documentation. He claimed Ash and Ember belonged to the Obsidian clan. He wanted them back. Maya's parents tried to argue with station security, but the laws were complicated. Under Dracovian tradition, defective hatchlings remained clan property until they reached maturity or died. The adoption center's records showed the hatchlings had been abandoned, but Commander Thorax argued that was temporary placement, not legal surrender. They'll put us in the creches, Ember said, her voice breaking. The warrior training facilities. We'll die there. Albinos always do. No, Maya said firmly. We'll fight this. The hearing took place in the station's council chamber 2 days later. Commander Thorax stood tall and imposing, his obsidian scales polished to mirror brightness. He barely glanced at Ash and Ember, as if they were broken equipment rather than living beings. These hatchlings carry Obsidian clan genetic markers, Thorax stated coldly. They are clan property. Their weakness embarrasses us, but they must return to fulfill their duties. They were abandoned, Velmara argued. Your clan left them at the adoption center with no intention of return. Temporary educational placement, Thorax countered smoothly. We expected them to learn discipline before retrieval. Maya stood up, her legs shaking. Can they speak for themselves? Thorax's laugh was harsh. Hatchlings don't choose. They obey. Then you're afraid, Maya said clearly. Afraid they'll prove you wrong. The chamber went silent. Several council members leaned forward with interest. Challenging a Dracovian commander's courage was dangerous, but effective. Thorax's eyes narrowed. Wrong about what, human child? About what strength really means. Maya pulled out her tablet. In Dracovian tradition there's something called the proving, right? Where someone demonstrates their strength to earn autonomy. A scarred Dracovian officer standing behind Thorax shifted uncomfortably. The proving is for warriors, not defective juveniles. But the law doesn't say that. Maya had done her research. It says any Dracovian can request a proving. And if they pass, they earn the right to choose their own path. Thorax looked ready to refuse, but the council members were watching carefully. Denying a legal proving would make him look weak in front of other species. Fine, he growled. They may attempt approving. When they fail, they return with me. Maya, Ash, and Ember had 3 hours to prepare. In an empty conference room, the hatchlings panicked. We can't fight him, Ash said desperately. We're half his size and we've never trained. We're not fighting him, Maya explained. Proving doesn't have to be physical combat. It just has to demonstrate strength. So we'll show him what real strength looks like. They worked frantically, preparing a presentation. When the council reconvened, Ash and Ember stood before the assembly, their white scales gleaming under the adjusted lighting. Strength isn't just physical power, Ash began, his voice steady despite his fear. We survived when our clan abandoned us. That took strength. Ember continued. We learned 3 languages without formal teachers. We made friends with species our clan considers inferior. We controlled our fire breathing even when we were terrified. That took strength. Together, they demonstrated problem-solving skills that impressed even the Centaurian Council members. They showed emotional regulation techniques that most adult Dracovians never mastered. They displayed creativity and adaptability that came from learning to survive in a hostile environment. Physical strength wins battles, Ash concluded. But this kind of strength builds civilizations. The scarred officer behind Thorax spoke quietly. Commander, I wish I had learned these skills before the war. I might have saved more of our warriors. Thorax's expression was unreadable. Finally he spoke. You have proven unconventional strength. The clan releases its claim. He turned to leave, then paused. Dracovian society will not welcome you. You understand this. We have a family already, Ember said, looking at Maya. 3 months later, official documents arrived designating Ash and Ember as cultural ambassadors under Maya's guardianship. The first of their kind. They began volunteering at the adoption center, helping other rejected juveniles find their own strength. Maya sketched them in her new notebook, the 3 of them together against the backdrop of the station's observation deck. The Cranky Albino Hatchlings had found something more valuable than acceptance from their own species. They had found belonging. And that, Maya wrote beneath the drawing, was the strongest thing of all.